Alright, I'm about to get real with y'all. This is the Pixel the fans have always been asking for. Something with a clean, minimal OS as well as next to perfect hardware. There are a bunch of reasons why I think this should be your next phone. Who's this review really for? Well, first off, if you have a Pixel 2 XL or are thinking of moving from Team Apple, you've come to the right place. If you're looking for your first Android phone ever, you've also come to the right place. If you're looking for confirmation bias, get out. In all honesty, whoever you are, I'm gonna hit you with some hard truths about the phone, so stick around if you want. What's up, Team Tech Avengers? I am so glad to be back in the studio and finally filming again, and as my first video back after so long, I couldn't have asked for a better phone to review. Now, I don't want to waste a second talking about anything else other than the Pixel 6 Pro because I'm sure you want to dive into my everyday usage of this phone. And total disclaimer, Google did not send me this Pixel device. I am neither Team Pixel nor Team Apple. I'm just Team whatever works great for me. Now, I'm coming from a Pixel 2 XL. I skipped the Pixel 3, the 3A, the 4, and 5, and here I am to make my first comeback into the Pixel lineup. Or, I mean, I hope so. I just want to preface this with the fact that there is nothing wrong with my Pixel 2 XL. In fact, it's right over here. It still works flawlessly, smooth as ever, and runs all 134 of my apps. But I think it's just time for an upgrade since I'm no longer getting Google OS updates. And I'm ever so glad I'm looking into this phone to make the jump. The Pixel 6 Pro is solidly built. Yes, design here is definitely subjective. I would love to hear what you guys think about this visor along the back. I mean, I'm not a big fan of it, but I would have preferred if this was flush with the phone, similar to the 2 XL. I feel Google needed to pack as much into the camera system, a trade-off which you'll soon see is well worth it. The one thing I don't like about the bump is laying it down. It's the first thing to touch the surface when placed down, and this could lead to scratches over time. Not to mention, if this is caseless, you can probably say goodbye to that camera unit when it falls. I actually threw a thought out there in the Twitterverse, and it looks like a lot of others agree with me. This thing looks and feels like a Samsung Galaxy Note device. It's more elongated than previous Pixel devices and has that curved display, similar to the Samsung flagships. I'm not a fan of the curved display. I can tell you how many times there have been issues with touch and accuracy while holding the device. This is due to the way the screen curves. If it detects your hand anywhere around it, the touch input is all over the place, honestly. The problem with the device being too tall is that I can't really one-hand it as well as I could with my Pixel 2 XL. The Pixel 6 Pro is made of aluminum, similar to other Pixel devices. A quick look around the device will reveal Google's exceptional attention to detail. I honestly prefer this button placement where power and the volume are on the same side. It gets confusing when you're fumbling in the dark, and trust me, it is one of the annoyances that I find with my iPhone all of the time. Aside from that, I'm still loving the design and color selection, despite its quirks. And while we're on the subject of color selection, if you're looking for the sort of sunny variant that I have right here, this only comes in 128 gigabytes, at least in Canada. That's something that you might want to keep in mind. The Pixel 6 and the 6 Pro is mind-blowingly affordable, if you're in the US. If you're in Canada like me, the prices aren't anything to write home about, but that's because of our crappy economy. Thanks, Canada. The Pixel 6 comes at $799 for the 128GB version and $929 for the 256GB model. The Pixel 6 Pro is $1,179 for the 128GB model and $1,309 for the 256GB model. There's currently no 512GB version available in Canada, so if you're looking for that, you might have to get that imported. The main difference between the Pixel 6 and the 6 Pro is that the Pixel 6 has a 6.4-inch display with a 90Hz refresh rate and 2 rear cameras, while the Pixel 6 Pro rocks a triple camera array, a 6.7-inch screen, and an adaptive 120Hz refresh rate. The Pixel 6 Pro's third camera is a telephoto lens with 4x optical zoom, which the Pixel 6 lacks. Both phones have an in-display fingerprint sensor for security. RAM options are different between the 6 and the 6 Pro, with the 6 having 8GB of RAM and the 6 Pro with 12GB of RAM. And I promise, that is really all I'm going to be touching on when it comes to specs. The truth of the matter is, well, it doesn't. When we're talking about real-world usage, the 6 and the 6 Pro will have the exact same user experience with optimized software and hardware, which is what I want to talk about next. The reason I held out for so long when it came to the Pixel lineup was solely for this: the integration of hardware and software. For the longest time, Qualcomm has been providing the main chip for the Pixel lineup. While that's all well and good and it worked, there was just a little bit of a disconnect between the experience. That's why I've been enjoying the consistent and fluid experience of the iPhone for so many years. Apple built the chip in-house and optimize the software for it. At last, Google has decided to do the same with their first ever custom-built processor, dubbed Google Tensor. There are so many advantages for going this route. Not only can Google optimize the software experience for the hardware, the battery life will be way more efficient. Okay, I gotta admit, while using this device, I've had very few hiccups while scrolling through apps, my home screen, or playing games. Yeah, the 120Hz screen may have played a part in that, but that really only kicks in when you have graphic-intensive programs running. My real-world experience, though, was not as iPhone-esque as I had hoped. Now here's where all the differences between the Pixel and the iPhone do come to light. There are a lot of glaring issues that plagued the Pixel 2 XL, and I mean, don't get me wrong, this phone is fantastic if you're looking for your next upgrade, but for me, I was expecting this first custom chip to alleviate at least some of the nuances that I've had with my old Pixel. Alright, let me knock out some of my criticisms of the device for you now. There's a few, and depending on your need as a user, they might sway your decision. But I need to be completely upfront and honest with you. First, the device gets warm even with moderate usage. Pulling up the camera and snapping a couple photos, going into different apps, the phone gets warm to the touch. I really thought this wouldn't be an issue since Google actually designed this processor in-house, but I was wrong. When taking multiple pictures at a time, the Pixel will just start lagging or just completely freeze up the camera app. Sometimes your shots don't even show up in the photo album, which is what I experienced with my Pixel 2 XL before as well. And I'll touch on the camera later on in this review, but while we're on the topic, I noticed some banding issues in videos that I took that were in environments like a TV or LED lighting. Something like that, like I don't know what the cause was, but it was really annoying and it didn't happen on my iPhone or my Pixel 2 XL. So that's something that needs to be considered. Let's talk about that fingerprint sensor. Well, it's terrible. I'm not going to sugarcoat it in any other way. I've re-enrolled my finger multiple times to be sure it wasn't me, but in my overall opinion, this thing is so hit and miss. I think the accuracy is probably 50%, if that. I really do wish they stuck with the reliable scanner from the Pixel 2 XL, or at least another option like Face Unlock. Android 12 is great. Stock Android 12 on the Pixel 6 Pro? Well, it's exceptional. The experience from right out of the box tells you all you need to know about how Google has improved the simplicity of Android. Booting up the phone, we're met with the Google logo, and almost instantly brought up to the setup screen. After running through the setup wizard, I was brought to the home screen and ready to go. Now hold on a minute, I want to see how Android has improved in regards to transferring data from one device to another. Back in the Pixel 2 XL days, it was a convoluted mess, not transferring apps, data, and such. So let's give it a go. I found the data transfer process to be quite simple and had no issues moving my data over from the Pixel 2 XL. And guess what? One of my biggest gripes with the previous Android devices has been solved with the Pixel 6 Pro. Google now makes it super easy to transfer your WhatsApp data from your iPhone over to your Android seamlessly. Before, you could only move WhatsApp data from Android to Android or iOS to iOS. That's really no longer the case. My overall experience with apps have been smooth, with occasional crashes and stutters here and there. But what phone really doesn't have those types of issues, right? Like, it's really dependent on the developer and Google working together, so I really wouldn't pin this one on Google itself. One of the features that has impressed me so far is the Pixel's AirDrop equivalent called Nearby. This feature allows you to send photos and files to any Pixel or Android device that has this feature enabled. So it can be a Samsung Galaxy, it can be a Huawei, whatever the case, as long as it's running Android, you can send files now, just like AirDrop. Okay, not to mention, the voice to text on this phone is by far the best I've ever seen on any device. It's incredibly accurate, and I found myself using it more than typing. Although Google's default keyboard is also quite good, this voice to text feature is far more impressive. I want to touch on the media controls for a minute here. The attention to detail when it comes to this part of the phone is unmatched. Even Apple, after all these years, has not thought about implementing something so damn intuitive and simple. I'm talking about the ability to change your media volume and your ringtone volume separately with one button. Simple concept, I know, but so convenient. I also noticed the ability to provide live transcriptions while watching videos on the fly. This is awesome, especially if you want to watch something while in a meeting or during class, and of course, if you're hard of hearing, you can listen to the live transcription immediately. This is a game changer. The speaker of the Pixel 6 Pro is quite loud. When listening to full volume, there's no distortion or crackling, even when making phone calls. While we're on the topic of phone calls, I made quite a bit with the Pixel and found that the noise canceling feature on the phone is absolutely tremendous. The person on the other end could hear me quite clear. Okay, let's talk about the camera. A lot of the features that I'm going to be talking about are housed within the camera app. Although the iPhone has been my primary device, they don't hold a candle to the Pixel lineup when it comes to photography. Videography is a different story, but I've never taken a bad shot with the Pixel. Even slightly blurry shots end up looking phenomenal after the Pixel post-processes. With the Pixel 6 Pro, this just takes photography to a whole new level. I'm not going to talk about specs of the camera. You can go to any other review to look at that. I'm here to give you real-world examples of what this camera looks like. Now, everyone has been talking about the Magic Eraser, and I agree, it's fantastic. You don't have to be a pro at Photoshop to remove objects from a photo anymore. Just tap and they're gone. Thanos would have loved this phone. You could literally tap every Avenger into non-existence. Now, believe me, this is far from perfect and only works in certain situations. It's similar to Lightroom's healing feature that you can do on the computer, but it's nice to know that it's available on my mobile device without the need for any extra software and any extra subscriptions. In regards to the camera, the power lies in the software itself. There are a lot of features that you can use to edit the picture right within the Google Photos app. The tools section not only houses the Magic Eraser, it's very adaptive. So depending on the picture, new tools such as portrait lighting, blurring, or even color focus will appear to add some pizzazz to your shot. It doesn't appear in every shot, but ones that the software deems as capable of modifying. Google has always done night mode on the Pixel far better than any competitor. The Pixel 6 Pro is really no exception. I feel confident taking night mode shots with this camera because I know more often than not, the shots are gonna turn out fantastic. I'm hit and miss with the iPhone, so when it comes to night photography, I'm always gonna be sure to be rocking my Pixel. Battery has been exceptional on this device so far, and that's mainly due to Google's custom processor. I started the day with heavy usage throughout work, scrolling on Instagram, Twitter, taking photos, and by the end of the night, I consistently ended with about 25%. I don't particularly like focusing on screen on time as different apps have different consumption requirements. I can definitely say if you unplug your Pixel at about 7 in the morning, use your phone for photography, social media throughout the day, you'll have no issues being apart from a charger until about midnight. Even then, you can turn on your low power mode and stretch its standby time to maybe the next morning. I've done it multiple times this past month. With the 5000 mAh battery, you can also have reverse wireless charging. So you can juice up your jealous iPhone friends, or not. I mean, they've never let you in on those iMessage groups anyway, so screw them. This feature worked very well when battery share was enabled. When it's not, tapping another iPhone to the Pixel will simply bring up their Apple Wallet. I mean, let them know they gotta pay up before they can charge up, am I right? If you ever do end up being low on battery and want to top off before the end of the night, the Pixel supports fast charging. But then again, what device in 2021 can't? The option is there, so I just wanted to let you know. I do want to touch on some stuff I've been hearing in the Twitterverse. Some fellow content creators have been mentioning the Pixel's ability to work with iPhone's MagSafe accessories. I can assure you that it does not. Yes, sure your accessories will stick to it, but barely. You won't be able to hold any accessory for very long on the Pixel without it falling off. Now for me, I like to keep it simple with my favorite iOS device and my favorite Android device. Even though I use one as my primary and the other as a secondary, for the past 2 years, the iOS has been my daily driver. The Pixel 2 XL has been my work phone, and the Pixel 6 Pro can easily replace my Android of choice. But will it be my daily driver? Probably not. The ecosystem of Apple devices that I work with are what's keeping me with my iPhone as my primary. I love to see that Google is starting to focus its efforts on this aspect with features such as Nearby and the Pixel Buds with Google Assistant built in. However, there is still a lot of work they need to do in order for this to be a true contender. For starters, a true tablet ecosystem needs to be developed. Not the hack job we once knew as Honeycomb, something more fast and fluid. Android 12L was Google's answer to this, but I've been fooled before. I really want to see this stick around for a couple of years before I can even remotely think about jumping ecosystems completely. This is Google's first custom processor, and I'm sure there are things that need to be ironed out, as I've mentioned before. Issues such as overheating, camera glitches, these things that I've had to deal with on my Pixel 2 XL are still prevalent on the 6 Pro. So there isn't really anything that's compelling me to make the switch over this instant. Like I said, my Pixel 2 XL still works very well, and that just speaks to the resilience of this Pixel lineup. That alone should be a testament to anyone looking to purchase a Pixel 6 or a 6 Pro. Hell, if you don't care about the interconnection of devices and just want a powerful and affordable phone, this is what's promised to be the supported flagship for years to come. The Pixel is definitely the phone for you. The camera alone is enough to keep this phone in your pocket over anything else. And although it has its nuances, it's the perfect phone that you will not be disappointed in. That's all I have for you on the Pixel 6 Pro. Have you guys picked up a Pixel 6 or a Pixel 6 Pro so far, or are you thinking of picking up one of these phones? Let me know in the comments down below and let me know what your experience with it is so far. I would love to hear from you. Like always, I'm Jared the Tech Avenger. Don't forget, when it comes to tech, the Tech Avengers are there. We got your back.